Hey everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I'm going to be taking you through character design from the very beginning to the turnaround stage. I thought it would be fun. I've been doing a lot of list style videos and stuff like that, and I thought it'd be fun to go back to my roots a little bit and just show you some actual practical art work that I've been doing. So this is actually a character design for a game that's kind of like if Monster Hunter wasn't violence, and I think that's probably all I can tell you right now. But anyway, there were a few things I wanted to consider while I was creating this character. You'll notice that she doesn't really have a face, and that's because I wanted her hat to shadow over her face and her shoulders and stuff. And that's mainly because in games that I've played, I have always identified best with the characters when I can't see their face. It's just much easier to sort of step into their shoes and feel immersed. So I thought I would try to incorporate that into this character so that it would maybe be more fun for people and allow them to step into the character's shoes a little bit better. So the next thing I wanted to do, since beasts and monsters are such a big part of this story, is I wanted to make sort of a quick little monster just to show the scale that I wanted for this character, how big I wanted her to be basically in comparison to the creatures that she would be encountering. Scale is a big part of character design, and being able to sort of tell how big or tall a character is can really help you visualize other parts of their personality and everything like that. So when you're doing a character design, it's good to either compare them to other characters or compare them to places in the world or whatever you're doing. I highly recommend it. But as you can see, I'm just being very sketchy at this point. I'm just sort of letting myself go a little bit free and not worry too much about little details, because again, this is just the design phase. I switched her hair from just generically long hair to two little pigtails because I thought those would animate better and be nice alongside her little cloak. And yeah, I'm literally just filling in details right over top of the red sketch. They're not even on separate layers because, like I said, this isn't going to be a final piece of artwork. It's just something where I'm working out these little details of her design. Obviously, you don't have to do character designs this way. This is just, I just wanted to show you a peek of basically how I do it. Yeah, I'm trying to consider also, I'm trying not to make her too complicated, because anytime you plan on drawing a character over and over and over, like for example in animation or in a comic book or anything like that, it's a lot better to keep your character design relatively simple. And that can be really challenging, actually. You'd be surprised. It's quite a beginner mistake to pile on lots and lots of details for no particular reason, just to make them look more complicated. You really want to make sure that there's nothing on your character that they don't need, because not only does that add to the realism, but again, it makes it a lot easier when you're having to draw them over and over again. So you'll see me repeatedly add decoration and remove it from her outfit, because again, I want to make sure that anything I add has a real purpose. And obviously you want your character to look unique, so what you want to rely on mostly is having interesting shapes in their silhouette and that kind of thing. Then your character can look unique and distinctive, even if they're completely in silhouette, which is really important in character design. Now, when I say something that your character needs, I don't just mean things that they need practically, unless they're a practical character. I just mean things that will further what kind of character this is. So you can have decorative elements if the character seems like the type who would have decorative elements, but just don't go overboard, otherwise you're really going to regret it when you're drawing them over and over. So I am finishing up this sketch stage, just trying to visualize again sort of what the level would look like and what the beast would look like and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff is really secondary to this character because she's the one that I'm focusing on with this character design. So everything that I'm drawing around it is just to sort of give myself more context for her and for her place in the world, and for how to make her stick out from the background, which is also a really important element. I'm also trying to think of ways that this character is going to move around, because again, then I can start thinking about animation, which also affects how I'm going to design her. And I'm literally working out elements of how the game is going to play while I'm drawing her, because I want all of it to suit each part. I want everything to seem like it goes together, and stylistically, thematically, all of that. I recommend doing that and not designing things too separately from one another, because then it will give your idea a more cohesive feeling. So now I'm going to the turnaround stage, because this is pretty important once you feel like you've finalized a design. Usually I would do a lot more drawing before I'd get to the turnaround, but for the sake of the video, I will just show you these 2 points. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw her completely straight on, and I'm going to draw her without her cloak so that we can see her full outfit, and then I'm going to add the cloak afterwards. So again, I'm doing this trick where you take the front view and you flip it horizontally. You just hit free transform and flip, and then you have basically the shot of her back, and then for the side view I just have to judge based on the back and the front view where everything would be and try to match it as best as I can so that it looks like she's turning around and not morphing weirdly in any way. And at this point, I try to do a much smoother inking than I did. I mean, I didn't even really do inking on the last part. But yeah, now I'm really trying to focus on making things look clean, because this is going to be my example as I continue drawing her in the future. So it's really important that every little detail is pretty precise so that I have a good guide to work from. This is also a good time to use those little cheats where you're taking limbs and flipping them so that they're exactly the same, just because this is a perfectly front-on view and everything should be pretty symmetrical unless there's a purpose for it being non-symmetrical. I also recommend keeping your clean line art away from shading elements. I almost started shading over my clean line art, but it's always good to have clean line art to work from and go back to. So if you have access to layers, you might as well separate those. And then I'm adding little details to the flipped image so that it's clearly the back of her and not just a flip around of her front view. And then as for the side view, I'm trying to be really meticulous and make sure that everything's lining up, because again, I don't have a perfect flip of her proportions, so I'm having to be a little bit careful and make sure that everything is lining up as best as it can. And of course, I have to go back and look at that shoe again and make sure that everything is working out just fine. Then I start putting in the darker elements and the shadow. I wanted it to be sort of a sketchy shadow because I like that style, especially in animation and games. I think it's really, really cool to see sort of that like pen-like shading. It's like hatching, I guess. And I think it makes the character look a little bit more mysterious and look a little bit more of a storybook kind of illustration rather than a super clean, I guess, typical game kind of illustration. I should just say this project's not like definitely going to happen or anything. This is just something I'm kind of working on in the background. And if it continues to keep getting worked on, I'll let you guys keep seeing it as it develops. I'm putting in the color palette now, and I'm trying to keep it relatively harmonious with itself. I'm also trying to use lots of different values, so even though everything is like basically in the same hues, it's like all kind of a rusty red, I'm drastically changing the value of those colors because I want to make sure that she'll be able to pop out from any background. Obviously the flat black is going to help me a lot with that, as long as I have light colors as well. So that's something, having a high contrast character is really important if you need them to pop out from a background, because then as long as your background is a lower contrast than them, they will be the clearest thing on the illustration. So that's also something I really recommend. And you can see I'm adding the cloak on a second layer now. I just wanted to see what that's going to look like, and I'll be able to literally like take off layers and be able to see what her outfit should look like in different scenarios, perhaps if she's had it removed or something like that. I recommend having a layer for every outfit your character is going to wear on your turnaround. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me create this character. I would obviously have some sketches in between these stages, but these are all the most important ones. Let me know if you're working on any projects right now. I'm really excited about this one. and I love working on it. So you'll probably see a little bit more of her and her world in the future. And anyway, thank you for watching my video, and I hope you have a good day, and I will see you next week. Thank you to my patrons, including Blep, Code, Ellie Quiznak, Miss Misu, Christy Stewart, Paynamel, Elizabeth Albin, Calpompon, Sergeant Pendulum, Lovely, Lachlan MD, Mystic, Vilka, Enzo Jobert, Yaboy ST, Adrian Delport, JJ, Laura Buter, Riley James, Superpixel, Angela Taylor, Hallman Kearney, blah 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 blah, Addie Visual, and @Live Likes to Draw. If you would like to become a patron, there's a link on the end card. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll see you next week.